Hey everyone, my name's Alex Ramsby. I'm an MSP consultant here at Profile Tech. Today I wanted to go over looking into some data views and some conditional formatting you can do. And some of them, not all of them, but in those that is supported, it's definitely worth looking into. Let's get into it. So some of you may have this feature, some of you may not. You might have to do this via SQL Yawk and just kind of play around with how you want it to be. But in this case, if you do have this option, you can come over to the left side under Legacy, and there is a Dataview creator. Inside of there, there'll be another window that pops up. You can make a new data view, you can pick one, and then edit it as needed. One thing you can do from here, though, if you don't have this, is if you go under System Configuration Dashboard, there is a setting you can turn on to basically enable this legacy menu here. And if you don't have, once you enable this, you have to log out and log back in, but you'll come under Config, System Control Center, and then at the very bottom here, you're looking at Display Legacy category. And once you turn that on and you hit save, it'll go through a reload process. You do have to log out and log back in for it to show. But once it's here, if you don't have Dataview Creator, it's probably not going to be there unless you can find some way to import it, some older integration plugin, etc. If you do, we'll hop through that really quickly. If you come into here on any of these columns, so you can call them whatever you want. I'm just using the default agent search in this case. And so what I can do, and I believe I did have some of these formatted here on this right-hand side, I can see on the OS version, you could customize. And so in this case, as you can see down here, I'm looking at the OS version column. The field is just computers.version. That's the actual name. You don't have to worry about linking, but you can. Basically, when you do set up links, just like in any other data view, you can link this particular column to something. So a lot of our profile data views are linked back to computer, client, and location, so that when you do come into a data view, you can right click and open computer, open client, open location from the data view in particular. Down here though, as we're looking, I see we've got it shown. The number isn't too important. Sorting doesn't matter too much. And this button right here basically allows you to format. So otherwise it's conditions or filters. But inside of here, the secondary menu will pop up. I can change the font style even, so I can have it bold, italic, strikeout, any of these or any of the combination of. On the foreground color, so this is your font color. In this case, if I, this is going to be the default here. So not what you're comparing to. That'll be down here later. This is just the default. What do you want shown? So that's why these are all empty. You can change the alignment in here. Field divisor, you can set that to something if you want. 0 is just null or nothing extra in there. Prefix, suffix, these things you can add like % signs or things like that. You do have to play around. Some are supported, some aren't. And then the null replacement is exactly what it sounds like. This is if the data comes back null, what do you want to replace it with? This is really good. Instead of just leaving it blank, you could write no data or not supported, whatever you're configuring a data view for here. And that's going to be in that particular column. And then down here, you actually just right click and add a condition. And then it's so small, but this tiny little box right here pops up separately. And I can say when you want to change it. So this conditional formatting portion of it, of the whole thing, when I say it's not equal to this particular value, whatever that value is, in this case, I'm just picking 1703, I think, for the Windows OS version. I can change the font style. In this case, I don't need to. The foreground color will turn red. And then the background color is just left as is, so leave it as white. You can have the background color turn red, pink, purple, whatever hex code you can come up with. You can change that as well. And then this last tick box is, do you want to, in fact, impact the entire row? So all of the columns are going to be red for everywhere that this doesn't meet? Or do you just want the one column, meaning that everything else is black, but if you go from left to right, where that column meets, that one particular data piece will be colored or changed? In this case, it's the whole row. So as I open up this agent search data view, basically, if I hit test here, as I'm looking at all of my machines and I scroll to the right, anything that wouldn't meet the OS version red, I think I said that inverse. If you have it checked, it will only affect that one data piece. If you don't have it checked, it will impact the entire selection here. So this whole, what's blue right now, would be red. Otherwise, you can just have it colored for that one particular piece here. And then you can do that as many values as you want here. I just went ahead and did one for 1703 and then 21H2, just for my sanity. I was going through some experimenting here. And you'll notice that on the far right, there's this long text. And so if I actually expand this out here, it is basically arbitrary. It's a comma separator, SQL injection, whatever you want to call it, formatting string. And this is directly impacting Automate only. It's not SQL related, but it's the format string of how things are going to be shown with a predetermined setup here, actually just core of Automate. So as we can see, it's not pretty to look at, but it has all of these settings in the bottom left in a single string. And they can just, as you add new conditions, it will just append them on here in the way that you want. I did internally here at ProVal, if you want to work with us, I did go through here our document, and this is basically the fleshed out version of what that looks like. And so if you're writing this in SQL Yog, this is kind of how that works. You can just copy and paste this straight out. And then in your insert statement, you would basically fill in the blank of each of these. And then when you get to the end here, when you write multiple ones, you write them back to back, etc. And then when you run into an insert, this section right here that I've highlighted in blue, so you have your data view list here. It's running all of the insert statements to import it. There is one called format control as a column in the actual insert statement. And that whole string that you have will be copied and pasted in here for all of the adjustments you need to make. And then you can also do this for icons in terms of data views. The biggest caveat between all of this, whether you have the plugin, whether you don't, is whether or not it'll work. Some of the more complex data views you may have written, or some of the ones that ProVal has written that do a lot of math and things behind that to really show you the data, don't always reflect as soon as you add a format. So just keep that in mind as you're working with it, but feel free to format data views as needed.
Thanks for watching. We post a new video every week to share our knowledge on Automate. To learn more about what we do, please visit provaltech.com. There's a link in the video description below.